identity of the Bengali Hindu was explicit in a large amount of nationalist work. And the most famous work of that all was Anandamot, where the entire concept of both Hindu identity as well as Bengali Hindu identity was framed. It was framed very explicitly. And I'm sure Priyadarshi would vouch for it, I'm sure a lot of members here would vouch for it, that people went to the gallows smilingly because they thought they were upholding this identity against the West. But somehow or the other, what happened post-independence is striking. There seemed to be some sort of delegitimization of this identity. It may be because people who thought that they were not, that the partition of the country was responsible for delegitimization of their ideology. Now the problems which has resulted in Bangladesh and which we are facing, which we get to know every day, is properties being expropriated, there is violence on temples, there are violence on religious places, there are violence on persons which include both sexual assault as well as on life and liberty and on physical assault on people. We also hear about large tracts of land. Land-based conflict in Bangladesh is something which we all have to live with, because for better or for worse, the Hindus held a large amounts of land in old Bengal. And these lands are slowly being whittled away. And we hear of more and more land mafia and more assertion of forces which want to grab land. And the most amount of land in Bangladesh which are free and which can be taken away very easily belong to Hindus, number one, and also belong to temple lands. That's what I hear. Because temple lands, there are not very many people who are willing to look after temple lands or lands which are dedicated to a deity in all over India. This is not an unusual fact. In India, we have seen huge amount of encroachment of temple lands in other places. So you can understand what is the status in Bangladesh itself. Now, this being the large, broad state, the question is, what can we do? You know, background-wise, we've discussed it, and I'm sure we are going to discuss it. What can we do? One is, as Povitroda rightly said, is that we have to take an interest in Bangladesh. That is the most key, most important thing which needs to be articulated and pushed again and again and again and again. We have to take an interest in the goings-on of what happens in Bangladesh. As a person who is conscious of this problem, I can vouch that I don't have access to enough information. When I read Bengali newspapers, when I read English newspapers out of Calcutta, this is not a question which is spoken about. For a large portion of the time when we grew up, this question was taboo. You do not raise it. And I would raise it again and again, the question recurrently with a lot of people who came from Bangladesh, is that what happened? No one was willing to talk about what happened. It is as if the past did not exist. And I've asked them, you know, why were you thrown out? Who threw you out? Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem of globalized communism, of socialism, of capitalist structures. Everywhere but the problem itself. No one will ever say that the problem was because we were thrown out, because of who we were, because of identity. No one was even willing to talk about it. Even today in West Bengal, in polite circles, in Bhadralok circles, you can't raise this question. People will switch off automatically, and that's something which we have to correct. This is not so in the Tamil issue, where I've seen Supreme Court advocates very aggrieved by what has happened. And very powerful senior advocates being aggrieved by what. This is not so in West Bengal. We have to start talking about it. Now, second point is something which we also have to recognize. This is something which we take for granted, but we have to start believing in it and treating it as an article of faith. That is, recognize that dharma in danger anywhere is dharma in danger everywhere. Because if you don't recognize that dharma in danger anywhere, that problem is going to land up in our door. And this is not unusual. I think this is a consistent fact, and anyone who has studied Indian society, it's not only us, it's not only now, have always maintained this. Whether it be Mahatma Gandhi, whether it be Swami Vivekananda, that famous quote of Swami Vivekananda, anyone leaving the Hindus is not only an enemy against, but it's enemy against the country, and so on. So it's not
one enemy more.
One enemy more. It's a fact that we have to recognize. It's not that you have to fight them, but it's a threat which you have to recognize. And the question is the stability of the country which we live in today. This Indian state is dependent on the fact that it remains a dharmic state. Our democracy is dependent on the fact that it remains a dharmic state. Our rule of law is dependent on the fact that it remains a dharmic state. The moment the character of the state will change, all that we take for granted, our rule of law, our human rights, our democracy, will be in grave danger. It's not unusual. We have seen an example of it, of people who are like us, how they have turned out their country in Bangladesh, how they have turned out their country in Pakistan. So it's, I don't think it's going to be unusual or unexpected if that happens. Now, what can we also do? We can help the Indian government pressurize the Bangladeshi government. Now there are lots of levers which can be used, trade can be used, benefits which we accrue to them have been used. There have to be, I agree that it has to be done under the radar. It has to be done under the radar to help the people who are suffering there. We don't want to make them suffer the consequences of being Indian agent in the pockets of, really isolated pockets which they suffer. But it has to be pressurized the way the European Union pushes the agenda, or where Germany pushes the agenda of the Christian church. You will never see the German embassy speaking openly about it, but this is part of the agenda. When Hindus are in danger somewhere, you want to have access to that. When Hindus are being victimized, you want to have to be present in court. That is how the EU functions, and that is how, you can term it in human rights, you can term it whatever you want to, but this is something which you have to actively do. Now, another thing which we have to do is get the Bangladeshi Hindus to evolve a charter of demands. Now, we don't know what they want. We hear questions of atrocities whenever they come, we hear questions of the fact discrimination whenever they come, but we don't know what they actually want. What are the representations they want? What is the representation? What is the data in relation to their representation in armed forces? What is the representation in security services? What is the representation in bureaucracy? What are the temporal lines being appropriated? We want a charter of demands. Maybe compiled by us, maybe compiled from within, maybe compiled from outside. But this has to be there because it will help the government to then push the issue. Once you have it, civil society organizations can push the government, and the government can then push the Bangladeshi government, saying that you have to implement this, you have to implement that. Now, another thing which we have to do is ensure that every time there are pogroms against Hindus in India, every time there are programs against Hindus in Bangladesh, the Indian government will have to come down hard. We tend to treat the security of Northeast more important than the security of Hindus in Bangladesh. There is always this hidden trade-off that if you alienate the Bangladesh government too much, they will damage our Northeast. But what we do not realize is both these issues are intricately linked. The Bangladeshi government first finished off the Chakmas. And once they cleared off the Chakma and the Chakma problem, then they had a hold on our Northeast. Till we had the Chakmas in Bangladesh, we had some sort of a lever on the Bangladeshi government. So we have in ourselves destroyed our own levers. And it is important for us to ensure that those levers stay in place so that whenever there is any sort of pogrom, the Indian government has to be pressured to take up these issues, and the civil society has to be assertive enough to take up these issues. I am saying that I can see a change. I can see a change maybe from 10 years, for the last 5 years I see a change. But this has to be consistent, this issue has to be pushed, and this has to become an overarching issue of not only Hindu Bengalis, but of Hindus in general. We need to fund human rights organizations which highlight these causes. A part of that would be, we have to fund human rights organizations in Bangladesh which will highlight these causes so that these issues can be reflected in the broader political debate which we have in this country. Now what we have to ensure is, irrespective of this, we have to ensure that the Bangladeshi Hindus remain where they are. That will be easiest is to ensure that they come to India. If you give them benefits and if you treat them simply as refugees, as a lot of people want. There is this huge sea voter issue which is in Assam, where people want to be treated as Indian citizens. They want Indian citizenship. The moment you give them Indian citizenship, is the easiest way out, and then people will leave. Now we have to ensure that they stay. I think, as someone from Punjab told me, that they worked really very, very hard to ensure that people stayed back in Punjab. Those who were against the terrorists stayed back in Punjab, and those who opposed the terrorists stayed back, and they did not leave. And eventually that was the final solution to the Punjab problem, is because at the end the rational people, the good people always are more than the irrational people, the fanatics. So if you ensure that they stay, the society, the way the society thinks of you will slowly change. And the momentary storms will pass. So we'll have to ensure that they continue to stay in Bangladesh. Now, one of the things which I saw about, which can give some protection to Bangladesh Hindus as well as ensure that they stay there, is I thought about in my head that maybe, I even thought that possibly you can give them a dual citizenship, ensure that they have dual citizenship. This is, I'm thinking out of the box, this is my own idea. But then the problem of the matter is, if you give them dual citizenship, they'll be tempted to come across. And how would that reflect on Bangladeshi Hindus in Bangladesh, where they'll be automatically be treated as agents of India or citizens of India? Those issues will have to be seen. I'm just throwing this up in the air. This is just some of my thoughts. Now, we'll also have to ensure that temple property is protected. If there is for example, if there's a mosque against which anything happens, or if there is even a short circuit fire in a church in Delhi, it becomes a national and international incident. And admittedly, Christians are 2%, according to them. It's very openly said by the Christian organizations that they're 2% of India's population. But a short circuit fire of a church in Delhi becomes a national incident. And the burning down, destruction of the Ramna Kalibari, no one even knows about it. So if the Indian state has to be pressured, it's very important, not only Indian state, I think the state can't do it alone. The state only, a democratic state only works on what civil society and what it works on pressure from below. When it's going to realize that it will count during elections, so it will count during, for purposes of governance, that's when it's going to listen to you. So you have to be willing to put enough pressure on the Indian state to act in the manner which you want. And any temple land encroachment, any temple encroachment, you will have to then assert your rights against the government of Bangladesh and ensure that the temple lands are protected. Lastly, I think lastly, I was just going to address that sea voter issue. And this question of the sea voter issue, which is in Bangladesh, where people are marked as voters whose origins are not clear. But the whole thing comes from the fact that people do want to vote in Indian elections. They want to become Indian citizens. And there's a large amount of Bangladeshis, Hindus who are settled both in Assam and in West Bengal who want Indian citizenship.
18 Indian states actually.
So the whole question is, and this is broadly, I'm not going into the intricacies of the sea voter issue, but I'm just describing it in broad brushstrokes. So the solution, I don't think, is in the sea voter issue. The solution is people being there. The solution is us recognizing that we have an umbilical cord to the people there, and realizing this is a question which goes beyond Bengali Hindus, beyond Bangladeshi Hindus, beyond Bengalis. It is a question of the dharma being in danger. And as I said, of recognizing that dharma in danger anywhere is a dharma in danger everywhere. And until you realize that fact, we will continuously be pushed into further conflict. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vikramjit Banerjee. You have, argued excellently and the points, and I was making a point of them. One thing I want to inform you is on this, the demographic equation that you were referring to. Some development took place yesterday. Actually, the census of India has been coming out it took place in 2011, and since then, all other figures have been released in great detail except for that religious demographic. So I was the person who did an RTI that what happened to that, religious census. And so anyway, it went up to CIC, but there also I was actually hoodwinked in a say, nothing happened. Now yesterday Wall Street Journal was interested in that issue, and there was a lady called Shanur Shiribhai. I do not know whether he comes from that same family of the great H.M. Homi Shiribhai, the great constitutional ambassador. They did an issue, and that Wall Street Journal has yesterday, its Indian edition, has published what happened to India's religious census. And they have, quoted me also, but they have also quoted the Registrar General of India, Sir Chandramouli. Yeah. For the first time, Registrar General, at least according to them, have given a statement saying that actually it is a sensitive issue. And the RTI replies, I was getting it is yet to be finalized. Of course, that was 1 year ago, but still it was a time. So they say that, that religious data is a sensitive issue in India. Now, for what reason sensitive? Whether I have argued that Muslim population has gone up. Some people have said that crypto-Christian population has also gone up. So the clout you are seeing from actually this short circuit of a church, it cannot be 2%, it may be more than that, behind that. So anyway, you have actually argued it excellently that, this Bengali Hindu identity which developed. And one of the reasons that we adopted, these things happened right from Bankim Chandra, Bengali, this Hindu nationalism that developed into India actually came from Bengal. But after the rise of communism, somewhere right from it gathered more in the mid of the 20th century, this idea 40s actually, this identity that they tried to give the Bengalis, everybody who speaks of Bengali is a Bengali, is a Bengali, something like this, or religion does not matter. But now we have to realize that, that no linguistic identity, whether it is Tamil, whether it is Bengali, is solely dependent on language. The Punjabis who were driven out from Punjab, and they were speaking the same Punjabi as the Muslim near in the Lahore, his next door neighbor was speaking, but that did not prevent him from being driven out. And the same case has happened with the Bengali Hindus. And Bengali Hindus are not just a linguistic community, they are actually a religious community. We have the occasion to discuss this other occasion, and I think we would extend it. But now, you have told what is actually wrong with us and what we should do. But now I would like to call upon our Mahamandaleshwar Sri Priyabrata Brahmachari ji, and he has come from Dhaka, and this is, I would say, what he would give you the ground zero situation. And he is also a person more competent to speak more than any of us on dharma, and so I would, he is a direct disciple of Mahanamrata Brahmachari, one of the leading saints of Bengal of 20th century. And so Mahamandaleshwar Priyabrata Brahmachari ji, I would like to invite you, sir.
Shinamati mostu ma vidya. Tameva mata cha pita tameva. Tameva bandhucha shaka tameva. Tameva vidyang dravinam tameva. Tamevang sarvang mamata. Actually, I am not a politician. I am not a Pundit. Just a simple member of a Sanatana Dharma of Indian civilization. Abject conflict amongst manifold religious and political factions has turned our mandate existence into a poisonous pot. Human beings, once maker of civilization, now heading towards annihilation. Without dissolution our unification on the foundation of humanity, Manava Dharma, that is Sanatana Dharma. Let us declare to the very world on the happy occasion of fifth annual conference of Human Rights Defense International that our oneness is real and godly, and our factions are spurious and many. The very consciousness our unison must bring down divine speech, our sympathetic birthright of soul of this planet. Thus spake Dr. Mahanamgata Brahmachari, the pioneer of the religion of humanity. If you see in your inner eye the gravity of Bangladesh, reactionary forces committing looting, arson, damage and destroyed and deformed innumerable deities and temple and private house and commercial house throughout the country. Since 89, 90 and 92 in connection with Korsava and Babri structure, I tell you. It started from 89. And this time they are not sparing women and children even. The commission of crimes is most humiliating and shameful phenomenon in the history of civilization. This time 3,600 temple, 40,000 private house, 2,700 commercial house, 2,600 women were kidnapped and raped and sexually assaulted, and 13 were killed in 92 and 1989. And these forces committed the same crime in 2001, and still it is running. There is a huge number, I cannot give you a picture. So problem created by the India in 47 and 71 by the Mahatma Gandhi, by the Indira Gandhi, by the Indian organization. So problem created by the India, problem has to be solved by the India. It is my advice to Indian people. And they have created problem, and we the Hindus in Bangladesh are most sufferer. We have lost our land, women, our prestige, everything. Our Banerjee or Mukherjee submitted, what is the solution? Solution should be taken by you.
But Indian government, how Indian has
Our
created
Indian
problem?
government still, Indian government very secular. They are very much secular. Our Indira Gandhi government or Congress government since 1947. Till now.
But you are saying that India has created problem.
Yes, India is created problem in 47.
What?
They created a Pakistan and East Pakistan and West Pakistan. And Indira Gandhi created mini Pakistan. Indira Gandhi created mini Pakistan. You see, in 94,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered to India. And Indian soldiers, within a month, they returned from the Bangladesh. They could not think about the Hindus in Bangladesh. So think before you ring. Don't laugh in such a way, I tell you.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm saying.
I will talk you in later.
Let him complete. Let him complete. There will be an interaction session, interactive session.
You see, last year also we have submitted a paper about 200 pages paper before HRD. I don't know what is the action taken by the Human Rights Defense International. So I request at first to open a chapter in Bangladesh with some materials and funds, so that we can take some action against violation of human rights in Bangladesh, violation of human religious rights in Bangladesh. You see, about 30,343 temples, including 6 Sati Peetham in Bangladesh. But it is also unsafe. Government sanctioned only 1 crore amount to Hindus by the Hindu Dharmiya Kalyan Trust. And per temple are getting 3 rupees per temple. So you see what is the position of the temple. About 160 Christian country and 52 Muslim country in the world, and only one Hindu country in Bharat. But we are not getting any kind of support, even lip service. Since 30 years, I myself trying door to door, but nobody is coming forward. I cannot find what is the result. But one my Christian friend, Mr. Benjamin Kuster, told me that we are getting all kind of support from Vienna and all countries. And where 80 crores Hindus in Bharat, why you are